Greetings, fellow degens. I've had a handful of close games since the patch came out where I've learned a lot. This is a culmination of those lessons, but also plenty of mistakes were made in this game, so many situations to learn from. One of the things with the patch is there's a new banning strategy since the pick bans have been changed. If people go first, sometimes they don't ban Necro or Schism, and they're basically saying, I want to pick Necro or Schism. So, one counter to that is to not ban Necro or Schism so you can pick it as well. But I would rather die trying to kill an OP faction than to play an OP faction and win. So, I'm kind of an anti-meta player in that way. That's just more fun to me. So, I also did make a banning mistake here. I forgot that Naiho is no longer the Logi hero, so normally I would always ban the logistics hero. I forgot it changed, so already a banning mistake. This guy wants to play Schism, so we're going to try our best here. One thing that's changed for me is how I do my initial setup. I definitely want to get lightning bolt still by my mage guild. Get the lightning bolt. I think I've tried testing without getting it and just sort of accept whatever spells I get. I just don't think that works out very well. I think lightning bolt is just too useful in too many cases. One of the main things though I've changed in the last couple weeks, I would say, is my second town. I had been building the second palace right away. But instead of doing that, now I've been doing the upgraded trogs. I had not really tried the upgraded trogs right away, just because I felt like maybe their upgrade was not worth it. Maybe it was better to do the econ first. But they're actually so much better than the base trogs, and I would say that's because one, their initiative is a little higher, and that actually is a very important breakpoint for initiative in a lot of fights. It makes them faster than most things that you're going to fight early, and that's very important. That helps us use them as distraction better, to attack early, to sacrifice themselves. They also have an additional speed, which is also a critical breakpoint because it basically means they can get across the map in 2 turns, whereas the base trogs, it takes them 3 turns. So for those 2 reasons, I would say the upgraded trogs are just so much better than the base trogs that they're worth getting. Here what I sort of do in the very beginning now, or what I think about is, I'm going to look at what's in my first city, and I'm either going to be looking for wood and ore, and if I don't see wood and ore, I'm going to immediately leave and go to my second town. I'll always have an intention to go to my second town to pick up my trogs. I want to get maximum trogs and upgrade them. So I'm going to do that in the first day or 2, always. That might not always be the best thing to do, but I think just systematically it's a very easy thing to do. There may be exceptions, but I think generally it's going to be good. And then from the second town, I'm going to try and just sweep along the path as quickly as I can and head all the way towards the third town. So that's sort of my intention from here, is to go down this road, picking up every resource I can along the way, my army should be strong enough. This gem mine is very poorly placed. I also have no XP yet, which is on day 2, which is very unfortunate. It would have been nice to do this uncanny right early. If it's low enough, you can do it, but unfortunately, it was a little too strong. So I feel like my best play here was to basically sweep up, get the gems, and then go up and try and get this Miria's altar. But it is guarded by a decent size stack of these raw shots. So I do think that this is going to be somewhat hard. We're going to lose some troops here for sure because we are only level 1. If we were level 3, this would be no problem. Because we probably would have like, we would have our mana sustain and we might have magic arrow. Those two things will totally change these fights. But since we are still level 1, these fights could be hard. It is unfortunate. Skeleton archers are not the best thing. I mean, any archers is not good for us really early because we have firewall, and so we prefer melee movers. Also, the raw shots fly, so also not their best firewall target. So these are not the best camps for us, but regardless, if we can do both of these and get the ore, get the Miria's altar, then that's a good thing of resources. There's also this hunter's den right down below, and it's very tempting to go get it as well, but I see that there's other stuff behind it in that nook. So I'm going to save that for later when I can do this full nook and just clear it out. Like when I can clear out those infiltrators, then I can grab the trophy hunter's den. I can also probably kill the hornets in front of the alchemist lab. So I kind of want to like do all those in one leg rather than getting the trophy hunter's den right now, just for movement efficiency. So this is actually a pretty decent sized fight, and we have no magic damage, so we're definitely gonna lose some stuff here. We just want to try and block the archers with our guys on below, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna use firewall for the top melee guys. The idea here, though, is also with these 1 stacks up top. I don't know why. I don't like moving forward here. I don't think I should move forward. What I should do here is just wait. I guess I'm just trying to pressure or get closer to the ranged units, because they're going to take some time to kill. I think what I should have done, though, is instead of moving up last turn, what I should have done is sit there, and then this turn I would just wait, let them get closer, let them run through firewall, and then use all my guys to fight them then. The way I did it is kind of suspect, I would say. Because I want to use these one stacks to put my debuff on these melee guys, also to absorb the retaliation. But I don't have either. I didn't do either on this. Plus, I'm using my heroic strike and spells to kill the range guys anyway, so I don't remember exactly how much value I get from my melee guys getting close. I mean, I tried to move closer and I still didn't really get there, right? I still haven't touched them. And so me moving up early, I didn't really save much time here, I would say. Most of the damage I did was from my spells and my heroic strike, so I think moving up on the first turn with my melee guys there was a mistake. I think I ended up losing too many guys in the melee combat portion, and it would have been better just to like allow the ranged guys to shoot me. Since I sort of lost a lot there, and I have no mana now, I feel, right, this battle is now lethal. I felt like I could maybe do it. I could maybe do that fight. But I'm going to lose a lot. And then whenever I lose, I'm going to be, I don't know how much I'm going to have to do the Myriad's Altar. So I just abandoned that. It feels bad, but I just abandoned that idea outright because I just felt like I wasn't strong enough. So that was not really the best turn. I think I lost more than I should in that combat, and I didn't get to fully complete what I wanted to do. I did get, you know, I did still get the chest, and I think I got ore as well on the ground, which is okay, but it would have been a lot better to actually be able to get the Myriad's Altar and the ore, obviously. So this is a nice little find here. Definitely a good artifact for us. I think +2 spell power and knowledge. So, and the fight is our kind of fight. These fights or these guys are very weak to firewall. So, one of our favorite types of fights. This one should be pretty straightforward. Yeah, not much to see here, I think. Let's see if I actually wait for these. I think it probably makes sense to wait here for them. And just make sure I move out of long reach range. Hope they don't get morale. I don't think I need to use mana here. Do I use mana? I do. I don't know if I really needed to do that. We'll see. We'll see how hard this is. Yeah, let's see. If I absorb the retaliate from the big guy, so that 10 would be 28. I also feel like if I felt unsure, I could have always waited till they were closer. The one thing that does do is if that group does happen to get a morale, then it does save me some hits there. But that's sort of like, I think they're gonna have one morale. That's a 4% chance. So, do I really want to play around a 4% chance, or just hold the lightning bolt one more turn, see what they do, and see if I even need it? Although it is only 3 mana at this point, so firewall with our since we have mana pools, so it's probably not that big of a deal. So we're just heading now towards the city. We're gonna pick up resources if we can. These crystals and these mercury, unfortunately, they have one of the worst things to fight. And I also feel pretty weak. I don't have much of an army. So I just want to get to the town, third city, as quickly as I can. Port back, and then I'll pick them up. I should By that time, I should pick up some dancers, 5 minotaurs, and my Medusa. Maybe. I guess if I come back on day 5, if I do get the city this next turn, I'm gonna go back on day 5 and I'll only have minotaurs. Medusa come on day 6. So, regardless, we're just gonna pick up whatever army we can to help with these fawns because they're annoying. We'll say we did get a dragon ring for free in the beginning, and now we're picking up another dragon item. So if we get a third one, that would be pretty sweet. That's pretty fortunate to pick up 2 dragon items. And the dragon items are great items to get early game. Stats are best in the early game, I would say, because they just do the most. They have diminishing returns as they get higher, so stats are strongest in the early fights. So getting stats item early is obviously good. We'll go ahead and move forward. I'm basically, what I'm doing is I'm trying to plan out my turn 6 and 7, which is when I'm going to be trying to get dwellings and banks. This is a nice easy box. Just judging from its size, it looks like 5k gold box. But yeah, on day 6, day 7, that's when we want to do dwellings and any banks we can. That's what those days are for. And then on day 8 and day 9, I focus almost exclusively on banks. If we have a lot of resources, then we can leave the biome early. But I would say in most cases, on average, I don't leave the biome before the first fight. So, because I just feel like I don't have enough resources. That could be just suboptimal play. And maybe in most games it is possible to get enough resources and leave the biome and still be able to like build effectively. But I would say for me, most games, I'm spending day 8, day 9 just trying to get banks. Trying to get the most resources we possibly can to get all our army and make sure that we can continue to build as we go pick up the 4th and 5th city. So this is a pretty straightforward fight for us, not too hard. So here's a choice. Yeah, 5,000 gold. So this fight is also pretty easy. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the change in skills, or the way I've thought about skills. I feel like for me, there's basically 6 skills that I want to get every game, no matter what. And then I sort of have 2 open slots that depend on, one, it depends on which skills I get, what kind of hero I'm going against. I would say the most important thing is just which skills I end up getting, because there's a random chance of skills. And so it gives us a way to respond to that randomness. And so I would say the way I think about it now is, if I get offered Primal early, I'm going for a 2-fight win strategy. Because I think Primal, I mean, it's okay. It's an okay skill. Especially like if you get luck or something. It is fun with luck for sure. I'm gonna pick up my army real quick and go get those other resources, like I said. So, Primal, I see more of like, I want to get it in 2 fights. That's when spell damage is the strongest, and Primal is, you know, most of their spells from 1 through 4 are spell damage spells. So, second fight is kind of where spell damage is starting to become, I mean, it's good still, but it's not as good as fight 1, and it's even less good in fight 3. So, as armies get bigger, spell damage is not as good. So, if we're gonna go primal, then we kind of want to end on fight 2. I will say, if we do go to fight 3, primal is still okay because primal remnants and summons are very strong. But I think generally speaking, the other thing about going primal in early game is it kind of limits our ability to get the kind of spells that we need. Really, in a late game, what I think determines our strength more than anything is what spells can we cast. And so for that reason, I'm actually thinking if we're going late into fight 3, I actually like, I'm starting to use wisdom. I don't like the sub-skills particularly, although the mana one is pretty awesome. You basically get plus 80% mana with, that's a great sub-skill, especially for exploring around the map. You're using a lot of mana from sub-skills. Oh, I had my trogs in the wrong place there. Lost way too many trogs on that first hit. This is just a lack of experience, knowledge. If I had known where the monkeys were, I wouldn't have put my trogs there. I would have had my decoys up there. So, lost a bunch of trogs there unnecessarily. That's just a knowledge issue there. I did absorb the retaliation so that I can attack with all my melee units on this. But the rest of the fight should be pretty easy. Did lose way too many trogs. Lost more trogs than I needed to lose there for sure. So, back to my skills monologue. Let me just start by saying the 6 skills that I think definitely I want to get every game. Well, obviously we have to get our triumvirate, and we start with sorcery. So the skills, the 4 other skills that I definitely want to get are thaumaturgy, battle magic. Battle magic is just the best fighting skill for mages. Defense, which I used to think was, you know, it was okay. It was good if you get, but now I think it's one of the most important skills to get, especially for mages, because we want to buy time, right? And essentially, defense reduces damage by like 35%, 30% for melee, and reduces damage of range by like 50%. So these are very big numbers, and it's a passive benefit, so you get it immediately, which means if we don't have initiative, which does happen, we already immediately feel the effect versus a spell that we have to cast. And this becomes especially apparent when they have the red orb, and we can't cast any spells on the first round. So defense, I think now is a must-have. I do still get Avatar. I think it's very good for farming. Helps conserve mana. And I also do think that it's good late game because of the plus 30% mana. Or sorry, plus 30% summons. I think if you go into fight 3, having more summons is still very strong. So, Avatar I definitely have, and which one am I missing? I'm forgetting the fourth one at the current moment. It'll come back to me. When I think of it, I will mention that fourth one. Or that last skill. I guess that would be the last 6 skill that I always get. Or want to always get. But, so for the 2 optional skills, I'm breaking it down in, do I want to win in 2 fights or do I want to win in 3? So if I see I get primal early, I'm thinking I want to go 2 fights. And I would also say that is even more so the feeling when I know that he's logistics and I don't have it. Right? The longer the game goes, the worse it is for us if they have logistics and we don't. So because I don't have logistics and I wasn't offered it, I'm going to take primal and I'm trying to win in the second fight. So that's sort of my mentality at this point in the game. And I would say generally so. If I get offered logistics early, then the best way to realize the advantage of that is to go the distance. So basically, if I'm offered primal first, I'm going to be thinking go fight 2 and do a build around that. If I get offered logistics first, then I'm going to do a logistics build, and I am not going to pick primal after that. Instead of picking primal, I'm going to pick wisdom. The reason I want wisdom, or I've been going that route, is because, as I was saying before, what feels like the most important thing to me as we go into late game is that we have the spells, the best spells in the game, that we can basically cast whatever we want. And so wisdom allows us to learn every spell. And that makes it very good. Being able to cast, say, Radiant Armor. I mean, Radiant Armor is an amazing spell, but also our summons. We can cast all our, I don't know, just any other utility spell that we might want to cast. It's Twilight. I mean, there's plenty of good 3rd, 4th, 5th level spells. But those are sort of like, I would say, the main ones that come to mind right off the bat. Oh, Judgment. Very good spell. So, Wisdom gives us a ton of spell flexibility. And since we are mages, we rely heavily on our spells. So I think if we're going long and I get logistics, instead of getting any schools of magic, I'm going to get wisdom. If I end up getting primal and we're going for a 2-fight build, then that other optional slot, I'm either going to want it to be Nightshade magic, because Nightshade has a lot of good spells. It has summons. We can summon Star Children. Has Twilight. We end up getting defense there at this Witch's Hut, which is extremely good. I'm very happy about that. But anyway, so in the optional slot, I either choose Nightshade for the summons and the utility. It's also got a lot of good damage spells. If I don't get Nightshade, the other option there with along with primal, is to get luck. I've been getting luck. It's fun to, you know, crit with spells. Do 200% damage with spells, and also luck does add a decent amount of, you know, actual attack power to our army. So I'm kind of looking around here for banks. This one up here, there's 3 banks up here, so that's very juicy. I will say I feel a little bit, I would prefer to, like, be able to, like, stay down here and clear out stuff here, port back to my tier 1, or my first city, sorry, so that I can pick up the rest of my army, either at the end of today with money, or tomorrow at the start of the day. But I just have no freaking money right now. I'm also kind of, I would say, under-leveled. So I feel like right now the only thing I really can do is go up and get those banks, because I need the money so bad. But unfortunately, what that means is if I go up there, I really can't ever pick up my army from either my first or second town. Because I can't buy the army in my town right now, town 2. And I'm only going to get 1 port at the end of next turn, so this feels pretty bad. This is not the best situation to be in. But these banks are all, you know, fairly easy. Probably not going to lose much in any of them at this point. We will lose some stuff, but all of these are going to be pretty acceptable losses. I'm also assuming, like, I think probably at the end of next turn I'm going to port back to my first city, because I think it has more armies than my second city. So all of this money is to buy my army in my first city. But I will say this situation is not ideal. I mean, definitely there have been times where right when the new week comes, I have enough money to buy my entire army. And I could just leave the biome on day 8. But this is not that situation. I have not had the... This is far from the best game I've ever played, so... Kind of some weird setup stuff. I also think I made mistakes even early on, and those compound. Like not being able to get that Miria's altar and that other fight early, which I might have even been able to do that. Oh, Dragonbone Greaves. That gives us our 3rd dragon item, so pretty lucky in that regard to already have 3 dragon items. So we got lucky there. I'm trying to think. I still haven't thought of the the 6th skill that I always want to get. I don't know why I'm blanking so hard on it. I'm like talking at the same time. So I'm trying to follow the action, but I'm also trying to think of what that skill is that I always get. Let me see. Triumvirate, sorcery, defense, battle magic, thaumaturgy, and I don't know. I will think of it at some point in this game because I'm sure I get it. But yeah, just doing these banks, trying to get money for my army. Once we get Hydras, I mean, most of these banks are pretty easy. The Abbey, this one, is one of the absolute best banks to get, especially for us. One thing I will say that I've recently realized is that as mages, since we can't really fight well, the banks that have like 4 units, 4 stacks, are really the kind of banks that we want to be doing. The ones that have, you know, like 7 stacks or whatever, they're very difficult for us because we don't really want to fight. We're not like might heroes that can actually fight well, and if they have a big army, they're gonna be able to kill that stuff. We just want a little bit more time. I think that definitely changes once we get Fireball, because then we can kill like a stack and a quarter really quickly, and that definitely helps a lot for us being able to do those kind of things. So now we're gonna finally get to, you know, do this Miria's altar next turn. So we finally got to it, but kind of a weird route. I've been getting trying to get astrology a little bit sooner because I realized what I feel like the main thing I want to get with astrology is that I want to get Shadow Flight by the time we're going into the desert, which is around week 2, day 6, day 5, day 7, this area. We want to be able to have Shadow Flight as we go out to the desert, so that we can pick up anything along the way that looks juicy to us. So I basically try to get the amount of astrology now that's going to give us that. That's definitely possible with purely astrology and not having to get any extra insight points or whatever. But it does mean that you have to build astrology palace 3s and all that around this time, a little bit before, either at like the start of like right after the fight 2 or earlier. So Avatar, I mentioned that one. Wait, did I say Avatar? Triumvirate, Sorcery, Avatar, Thaumaturgy, Battle Magic. That's 5. Sorcery. Oh, I said that. In the future, I think I gotta write. I must have to write this down before. Especially for something like that. For my skills. I will say, like, Avatar obviously has changed a lot in the since the patch notes. You know, you can't just spam it on the other side of the map anymore, so you need to be a little bit more methodical and thoughtful about using it, which I think is, you know, a good thing overall for the design. But definitely, it's a nerf. It's definitely weaker. But I still think there's plenty of utility with it still. so I definitely still get it every time. And additionally, like I said, it does give plus 30% summon units. And I think that for Fight 3, summoning units is basically one of the best things you can do. I didn't realize, I finally sort of did the math type analysis on how effective are summons in the final fight versus like spell damage or this kind of thing. Summons are just extremely strong. I mean, if they have like heavenly blades or anti-magic, then it's a little bit worse, obviously, or it's countered. But if they don't have counters for summons, they could just be so overpowering. The amount of summons you get for spell power, if you have level 4, is extremely good. So that doesn't give summon avatar some late game utility where the avatar itself maybe falls a little bit short. So we are only level 9 here going into fight 1. That's pretty low. Definitely below average. So, not the best start. I also am not feeling terribly good about my army. I didn't get to build out my second city as much as I'd like to. Sometimes I could get Medusas before week 1 in City 2, but I think I only had Minotaur Lair. So, not the best setup. The one nice thing about Schism is that they tend to bunch up, so I'm hoping Fireball carries me here. And when I saw them all bunched up, I was like, thank you. Fireball, just one spell is gonna win us this fight. I also do have 17 spell damage, so... And he has Circle of Winter as a starting spell, which I didn't really realize immediately. But I remember he casted it here, and I found that out after. But still, it's just not enough. I'm gonna try... I tried looking at the skills, I don't know. I still don't know, let me just look. Defense, battle magic, sorcery, thaumaturgy, avatar, triumvirate. Okay, so that is 6. So those are the 6 that I get every game. Obviously we have triumvirate, sorcery, which we start with Zakron anyway. Avatar, thaumaturgy for our magic skills, and then we have defense and battle magic, fighting. So those are the 6 skills I'm gonna get every time, and then the 2 optionals are the Primal and Nightshade for fight 2, or Primal and Luck for fight 2. And then if I want to go to fight 3, or I'm setting up for fight 3, then those 2 skills are going to be logistics and wisdom. So that's sort of my current mentality on skills. Now we won fight 1, so our fight 2 plan is going, Fireball just carried us, and our spell power carried us there. Which, thank God, because our army was not the best. We did have 4 Hydras, so that's always good. But I would say that army was a C or a D quality compared to what's possible. So, but also Schism is weaker early, so we kind of have an advantage there as well. Schism scales over time, and also he has logistics, so that doesn't do anything for fighting. That's an advantage realized over time. So now we're finally getting our dwellings. Unfortunately, this Medusa and a Minotaur dwelling are like so poorly placed for us to get, at least before fight 1. I guess unless we had more money and we could have left earlier. But even then, we wouldn't have got it for week 1. I guess we could have had it for fight 1. Also, I do have no money here, so I can't even recruit out of them, which is, you know, tragic. I probably could trade here for... I just feel so bad when I trade for money early or do any kind of trading at this point. So I almost always stay away from it. And also, we don't really need the army right now. We're already pretty strong, at least for fighting mobs. So, not too big of a deal, I feel like, at this point, to not be able to recruit them right now. It would be nice to take them, especially the Medusa, I feel like. Because right now the Minotaur a lot of times they don't even get in the fight, whereas Medusas are constantly doing chip damage, so. But it is nice to get 2 dwellings in 1 turn, so can't complain about that. But because we're so poor, we really can't afford to buy any buildings on this turn, which is pretty bad. We just had we did not do a good job of getting gold before this period of time. We have good resources, but we have no money, so that's bad. Having that extra money from the... Well, I don't know. I mean, we did get those 3 banks. We got the Miria's altar after at the end of week 1. I guess we did get 1 bank before the end of the round. Or end of the fight. We did the monkeys and lost, you know, way too many trogs on that one. So we did do that one. I think I might have done a haunted mansion as well. But obviously that wasn't enough money for us. Another thing is I've been switching, instead of like doing my early palaces, doing both of them gold, I've been switching them 1 money and 1 to astrology. And that's part of the plan to make sure we get Shadow Flight before we get to the desert. That was one of the things I felt like I need to do to be able to make that. It helps a lot to have that extra 500 astrology over that long period, over like what, 15 days until you get to that point. So no, not 15, that's too many. It's like, I don't know, 11 or 12, let's see, week 5, day 5 is day 12. So, having that extra astrology ticking over time helps a lot. It's basically going to end up being one entire point by the time you get there. So yeah, our resources are good, but we need more money. And I know that most people would probably trade a lot of these resources away to get gold to make sure, and that might even be the better play. I'm just not 100% convinced. What really I should be doing is I should be doing a better job of making more money rather than putting myself in a position to trade poorly. Maybe there are times when truly we have no option but to trade, and we should do that. But at least for now, until I collect more data myself and get put in more of those situations, I basically, unless I'm trading for like 1 or 2 resources here and there to like get a, like if I'm like 1 gem away from being able to build my Hydra Den at the end of the week, I'm going to do that trade every time, obviously. If I have to trade all of my resources to get 10 gems so that I can do that, so that I can build the Hydra Den, I'm not going to do that. That was pretty close with my Hydras. Perfectly calculated there. I did not think I was going to take so much damage there, I think. But regardless, we did not get... I don't think we're going to get punished for it. We should be able to not die here with our Hydras. Yeah, we'll go ahead and use that Fireball. I remember I was trying not to use Fireball here to save the mana, because I kind of felt like I didn't need it, and maybe I wouldn't have needed it if I didn't just run up. I think a lot of times I end up running up close because I'm trying to save time and just shorten the fights, but I think a lot of times it's probably a mistake. I'll say even now, I'm pretty sure I end up going for... I actually don't know if I go for this attribute here. I feel like I do. Yeah, I do. I don't know if this is appropriate. I mean, it is 2 attributes for doing this, and it's not that far off the road. But when I'm going for the 4th and 5th city now, I really, I really don't want to go off the road. I think that probably should be the general principle always. But especially when I'm traveling at this time, I'm like trying to... I want to go get the 4th, 5th, and the desert city. Like, I want to do those all in quick succession, as quickly as possible, and hope that I have enough resources to like keep building along the way. But as you're going along these roads, trying to get these cities, you don't really have... You're kind of at the whim of RNG. Whether you get lots of resource banks or not, because you really need some resource banks along the way usually to be able to keep building and stuff, or like Pandora's boxes. So when you're going along the road, I tend to just want to stay away from going too far up the road. 2 tiles, 3 tiles. You know, that's sort of like, if I have to go more, definitely if I have to go more than 3 tiles away from the road, I'm pretty much not going to consider that, unless it's like Vori Ruins or something like that, or like a Pandora's Box, which I know that I can do, and like it's going to be relatively good for me, and I really need it. I don't know if going this 2 tiles, because then I have to travel back. So I'm offered logistics there, and you can see I don't take it, because I'm going down this 2 fight strategy. And at this point, if I'm just trying to get to fight 2, it doesn't make sense to get logistics. Because I just really want to end the game at fight 2. So instead of taking logistics, I'm going to take, you know, another fighting skill like Nightshade or Luck. So anyways, going off the path to get like stat points right now, I really don't need stats at this point. What I really need is resources. Actually, what I really need here is gold. Right, I'm having a hard time with gold. I have plenty of ore, so we're good on ore. It would be nice to get a little bit more wood. That's really what I need right now. I don't need 2 spell power right now. It is efficient to try to get things as you're going along them on the path. But at this time, I would say my bigger priority is resources. Especially gold. So I should really only probably be going off-road for gold resources. That being said, if there was a monastery off the road and which cost me gold and is only stats, I probably would do that, because monasteries are just so good. I think going for that 2 spell power, I would never say it's like horrible, but I can see an argument either way about whether you should go for that or not. So I would say I'm on the fence about whether it is good. There's actually a laboratory there, which I don't think I really noticed in game. I wish I had noticed it. I think because I was focused on what I was doing. And it's easier to see more of what's happening when you're not actually playing the game and focused on what's right in front of you. It's easier to like take a step back and see everything, take it all in. And I think that's going to become highly relevant, because one thing I will say, a bit of foreshadowing, is I have a really hard time getting resources this game. Gold especially. And so seeing that laboratory there, that's something I could have put in my plans. But I know I didn't. So that would have helped me a lot for sure. Oh, maybe that was a monastery, yeah. That wasn't a laboratory, that was a monastery. So, so we're okay there. I do go for this +6 knowledge cloak. You know, I just made my speech about not going off-road to get things that are resources. Well, I mean, I can always sell, I think that's epic, so I can sell it for 6,000, so that could be 6,000 gold. But, also I'm using the dragon cloak right now. So, this is a competing slot. But I do think the best set to have is this set. I forget what the set is called, but it's the one with all the plus percentages. And I know the set bonus, the 4 set bonus is enemies do minimum damage, which is a very good set bonus for mages which want to extend the fight. I mean, it's good for anyone, but mages, we care about extending the fight a lot so that we can cast more spells, take advantage of thaumaturgy. Using a lot of mana here. I don't know if I needed a fireball. It's always funny watching myself play these because when I'm actually in the game, there's like a sense of urgency. Go, go, go. Do things quickly. But when I see it removed, I feel like I could have just probably used a lightning bolt there. I mean, it saves like 5 mana or something like that to cast lightning bolt, rely on avatar and stuff instead of using fireball. But those little things can add up for sure. Casting fireball every single fight just because we can, it uses a lot of mana. And then if we run out of mana, then we're forced to use lightning bolt and stuff. So if we have the choice, and if it's basically just as good to use lightning bolt as it is to use fireball. So I got Shadow Flight on day 2, or week 2, day 6, which is about when I want to get it. Because this is sort of the time, this is the day when I would say usually I can have both cities and be ready to go to the desert. So I am a little bit behind, probably because of my travel choices so far. Also, that first road that we went on was like from City 3 to City 4 was like not that great. These guys set up for this Hydra, which is pretty cool. I'm very appreciative of that. So now, you know, sort of just to go along with wanting to get to the desert city early, I realized that I don't really want to go in the desert if I don't have Shadow Flight. Because it's so, like, there's so much movement to take stuff, especially if they're very far off the road. And sometimes we want, like, a Vori ruins in the middle of the desert. So we really don't want to go into the desert without Shadow Flight, because then we're definitely, like, we're really only limiting ourselves to getting stuff that's right off the road. And there's lots of good stuff that could potentially be in the desert. That's like our best chance of getting good resources before fight 2. So we want to get there as early as we can with Shadow Flight and try and take as many Vori ruins, laboratories, if there's easy good artifacts out there. We have like 1 or 2 days of just also monasteries. You can have 1 to 2 days of pillaging the desert, which is the best place, which is going to be in general the best place for us to farm at this point in the game. So the Shadow Flight timing, I think, matters a lot. I also think it's a little bit crazy that I'm a little bit as far behind as I am because I have been getting astrology, a little bit more astrology. That means I'm getting double second wind. I guess at the end of getting the third or fourth city, I sort of went off road. Oh, I remember. I went off road because I was out of mana and I needed to get that well. And then when I got that well, I went and got something else. I can't remember what it was. Because I was just like right there. So, but that definitely cost me some movement to be able to get to the fifth city. I will say I do like my spell power at this point. Anytime we can get like 30 spell power for the first fight, I feel, or the second fight, sorry. I feel pretty good about that. So I just go to my other city to pick up my spells, get my mana, and we're gonna make the desert trek next round. I'm almost sure of it. One thing I'll say, like, if I am going for fight 2 versus fight 3 strategy, that also changes sort of what I want to build. Like, I'll do a little bit, like, I might build treasuries at this point. Or actually, I probably would have built them earlier if I was going to. But since I'm going for this fight 2 strategy, I want to save my resources so that I can buy spells before the fight. I want to save those resources for spells. Key spells, Summon Starchild, Primal Remnant, Chain Lightning, these kind of spells. Twilight. I want to make sure I have the key spells for fight 2 that I need to win right there. The extra gold, I mean, first of all, treasury, you know, you're going to get more value the more time it lasts. If I only go to fight 2, it doesn't make much sense to get treasuries because they're going to barely pay for themselves by when you count all the resources. By the time the fight even starts, they're like breaking even when the next fight starts, so. Still dying for money here. I still haven't found any really big bank. Which is, I would say, below average as far as RNG. Usually I would have found either one Vori Ruins or Laboratory by now, I would say, on average. You probably would get at least one. Sometimes you get them in your starting zone. So I haven't got one yet. So I am so poor. Everyone's favorite enemy here. Always got to be careful what we're doing with these guys, against these guys. So I will use a fireball here for sure. Gotta rely on our spells for this one. Don't want to use our army if we don't need to. Unfortunately, Avatar does not kill these, or this would be a super easy fight. I'm trying to get them all equally low so that I can use my avatar. Because the avatar can kill 9, so I'm trying to chain with my avatar here. And cut off the one that's in between us. So usually for mages, I would say usually those guys are not that bad. They're probably harder for might heroes to kill those ones. But it also depends like on how many one stacks you can make. So really not the absolute best. I still don't have like any resource. I don't see any resource banks here. I am getting lots of artifacts, but I do fireball here because these upgraded light weavers are some of the best ranged for their tier in the game. Or maybe for their tier, they're probably the best ranged unit. Besides maybe toilet guys. Toilet man. Plus 30% summons. So yeah, I would say I'm on fight 2. The strategy here is, since we have primal magic, I would say the best spell that we can get for fight 2 is Primal Remnant. So I would say that's the ideal. And if we get luck, then we probably also want Chain Lightning or Circle Winter. If we can somehow get Judgment, that's amazing. Especially if we get luck. But that's a lot harder because that's sort of like dependent on, you know, what we even have available to us to pick up. We have to get that in some, like, either through an artifact or scroll or something like that. So Judgment's obviously less reliable. And if we end up getting Nightshade, then we also want to get, probably the main thing we want to get is Starchild. Because we want to get those summons. If we can also get Naira's Kiss, Shadow Army, these are obviously very good spells too. So that's sort of, we have 2 open skill slots here. So really I want these to be either Nightshade and, well, we definitely want to get Battle Magic, right? And then the optional slot is Nightshade or Luck. So you can see here, even though I don't have any money, I am gonna still go for this monastery. I mean, you kind of have to. I need to get as strong as I can for the fight coming up. We're trying to go all in, and so we need all the stats we can get. It just kind of feels bad because I already know I'm poor and we're spending even more money. So I'm wondering where the hell am I? How am I gonna get this army? I have no money. But monastery, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 gold. You just gotta always do it if you have the money and you can do the fight easily. And this is pretty much on the way. We're just sort of looking for the desert city. And where we moved, like, centralizes us to be able to find it. We do lose a little bit here. I don't know that we needed to, but I'll say one thing about the timer. I realize most of the time lost is in fights. So I think when it comes to long fights like this, it's almost better to like accept a less than optimal outcome than it is to try and go for the suboptimal outcome and save your time. Because if you run out of time trying to rally your army and recruit your army, well then you've also lost units to time essentially. So it's better to, I mean, losing those 11 trogs, that's not going to make the difference between the fight and in the actual combat. But if I go to fight 2 with half my army because I ran out of time, you know, that's consequential. I could lose the fight because of that. Still poor as hell, so I'm like, let's sell some artifacts here. Sell the artifacts I don't want. I still am not ready to get rid of the, I don't want to get rid of the dragon stuff because I'm getting the set bonus. But I do feel like I probably want to use the shade cloak at the end if we need to. So I guess I'm sort of holding on to it in case we get like another piece. It would be beautiful to get the bone boots. I would love to have got that light tome. I didn't want to do that fight because I don't have mana. So that's why I didn't do that fight. I also don't want to, I also think I want to leave the desert on day 3. It's a tough decision, or on this day, day 1, week 3. It's a tough decision because, and I didn't really think it too hard through. I just saw the daylight tome and I really wanted it, but I saw I had no mana, so I was just like, I just felt like I couldn't do it. But it might have been worth it just to stay another day out here just for that daylight tome. And except like I'm not gonna collect from like my city 5. And just sacrifice collecting from there. Having a daylight tome and radiant armor and judgment is probably more impactful than having, you know, a small town. I'm not sure what I even have in it. Let's see when we actually get to the city, to the city I port to get the army here. I didn't have any gold, so I'm pretty sure I didn't build it out all that well. Oh, I also remember in that university, I didn't mention it. I'm pretty sure I got Nightshade magic. So now the last skill I should want to put in my slot is battle magic. So yeah, I did go to my smallest city. I had what, 14 minotaurs, a handful of you know, like 1 week of an okay of tier 4 or lower. That's really not that. A daylight tome is worth more than that, I would say. Although I will say one thing about getting the daylight tome. If we get it, all the spells in it are going to be tier 3 because of our thaumaturgy and sorcery subskills. In fight 2 anyways. And probably most people, in my experience, are going to get resistance. And they're going to get the -1 to magic schools. So I will say, even getting that daylight tome, more than likely our daylight magic is going to be level 2. So, and that means we don't get to cast mass radiant armor. Judgment is like, I don't know, 20. Let me just look. Judgment is, I guess it's still 30 damage per spell power, so that's pretty good. So Judgment is still good, and it does give us access to some spells at level 2 that we probably wouldn't have access to otherwise. But it is also probably better for us just to stay out in the desert as well. So we're going to get the daylight tome, but then we're also going to be able to stay out in the desert for the rest of the day. I don't know, I don't really remember what's in the fog of where I would have gone. But there could be a resource bank. There's a higher chance of a resource bank being in the fog of war in the desert than in the the 4th or 5th city biomes. So it would be better overall in general to stay out in the desert and maybe just sack being able to get like every single troop that I have available to me. I mean, I'm already poor as hell, so I should already know I'm not going to be able to afford all my army anyway, so why do I really need to go to the city to recruit these guys? I can't afford everything anyway. So, and I really don't want, if I'm going to spend money, I really don't want it to be on, you know, I really don't want dancers and infiltrators at this point. I shouldn't say I don't want them. They're just, I have higher preferences. I would rather have my money in my Medusas, my Minotaurs, my Hydras. Not in that order. Mostly my Hydras is what I want, because they're just the best. So I'm sort of like, I do like the Trogs and I do like the Minotaurs. So they are very health efficient, and actually so are Medusa are also too, but they weren't there. And Minotaurs have parry when you upgrade them, so I actually took luck there. Because I was thinking, oh, I'm trying to win fight too, but now I've violated, and I didn't realize this at the time, but I violated my sort of plan, which is to have these 2 optional slots, which can be either Primal, Nightshade, or Luck, but now I've taken all 3. So I put 3 skills into the 2 optionals. So what I ended up cutting out here is I don't have battle magic, which is horrible. It's absolutely awful. Because battle magic is so good. And if you happen to get the relic for battle magic, that gives you all the sub skills, it's probably the best relic that there is. At least for mages. Because the battle magic sub skills, there's so many good ones. And now it's time to collect our army. We have without any gold, so definitely I will say again, I feel like this is like a pretty bad generation of the amount of resources. This is below average for sure. I haven't gotten any boxes with money. I haven't gotten really any resource banks, high level ones. I got that The one with the crossbowman, I forget what it's called. That gives you wooden ore and decent amount of gold. That's like the best thing I've gotten in a while, and that's like a tier. That's like your starting biome. That's a bank you get in your starting biome. So, not really what you want to be doing at this point in the game, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers. I just am feeling so poor. I am very poor. Which is a problem because we're getting to the fight we want to win. We're getting to that fight and we have no money, so that's not a good combination. And we get more XP. I would sort of love to do this destruction magic thing here. And get this +1 level. But that fight is pretty heavy. I was one turn away from being able to get to my second city, which is pretty awful. So now I'm thinking, well, now I just can't get that army. Because now we gotta fight. Now I'm gonna have to port to my main capital to... That's the only place I'm gonna be able to recruit from, so... Now we're feeling even worse. We're gonna get this monastery. At least that's something. Although I have to ask myself now, would I rather have +2 all stats? I did realize that, I remember I realized in this fight that we actually ended up getting Twilight from our magic, because we're starting to build our mage guilds. So that was very nice to get that by default, and it was very useful here. So definitely against Schism too, like Twilight is one of the best spells, maybe the most important spell to get. Especially because this guy looks like he's going the range type, because he has, you know, the succubus and Toilet Man. So Twilight's going to be definitely a key spell in the fight. If I didn't have it, then I would definitely I should be paying for it. But now, this is a fight where I'm using just so much time. I have 5 minutes, which is a good bank of time. But I don't know. I'm trying to like play. I'm spending so much time trying to think what is the optimal play here. Like, how do I prevent losing even one guy? But really, this fight is not that hard, so I should not be losing. I lost like 30-40 seconds there. I should not be losing that. Especially after I casted Twilight, that fight is so much easier. So, spent a little bit too much time in that fight. Now I did get Mage Guild level 5. Unfortunately, I don't really have the resources to get Primal Remnant. I just have no fucking money. I can trade everything, and I do trade a lot. But this is a tough situation with no gold, and I didn't invest. I think at the end of the game, I had 9,000 gold income. So that's pretty low. Because, you know, I was trying to end on um, fight 2, and that does depend on, you know, how many resources, how much gold you can get along the way. I think I put myself in a good position, generally speaking, to be able to collect resources, but there just were none along the way. So I would say, on a general level, this was not a very good roll for, because if I had like even just one Vori Ruins, I would be able to buy that entire army and also get Summon Primal Remnant. So the difference would be massive here. And when I see his army, I feel like I'm probably it's not looking good. Also, this right here made me realize, because I don't have level 4 Twilight, and really I want to have level 4 Twilight. Like this, that should not be like optional. So next time when I get in this situation, when I pick my Nightshade sub-skills, if I'm going for a fight to win, I am going to make sure that I pick +1 skill levels instead of the one that debuffs the negative 10% attack and defense. I think Howl of the Night. Is that what it's called? I'm not sure. But I picked that because I know that's good. But I would say that if I'm gonna pick that, that's more like I want to go the distance type of pick. This plus, if I had picked the +1 skill level and gotten the Mass Twilight, that would have helped my chances so much. And all my Nightshade skills would be level 4. So, luckily this time, you know, I knew he had Circle of Winter. So I tried to place a little bit more. Maybe those guys at the top are not placed well. But I tried to at least space my guys out a little bit more here. And so he didn't, because he summoned Star Child, we were set up good for Star Child so that he couldn't AoE anything. So he actually uses Inner Light to dispel the Toilet Man. But if we had Mass Twilight, that would have made such a big difference, because it looked like he can maybe only use Inner Light on one thing. So, the Mass Twilight, I just left. I should have pointed that out, I think, probably. Just because, just to see what would happen and see how close it ended up being. I kind of felt like I would lose no matter what, and I think I was also feeling like a bit defeated, because I really wanted to win that fight, and I felt like I did not get the sort of resources that I really needed to have a chance. So I don't know how close it would have been if I played that out. I think I probably still would have lost, because I didn't have... If I had Mass Twilight and Primal Remnant, I think I win that fight. I think I maybe even dominate that fight. But because I didn't have those two things, or maybe even if I had that Light Tome and I had Judgment, and I could have Judgment his Arbitrators, that would have helped a lot to reduce the incoming damage. But again, I was just feeling a little bit like, where the hell is my gold? And I think that just kind of got in my head. And I was like, I also most of the time would just prefer to do 2 fights, because I do feel like going into the 3rd fight, the game gets a little bit long for me. It's not a whole, I wish it was like maybe, I don't know, 30 minutes, 40 minutes shorter, or an hour. I feel like if a game was max 2 hours, that would probably be more. That's why I like 2 fights, because that feels like a good game time. Actually, I would say for me, it would be even better if 2 hours was like the long end, and 1 hour, like a 1 to 2 hour game. I feel like for me is the sweet spot. And so because of that, I have a natural preference to do 2 fights, because that's going to be like a 2 hour game or less. But you know, here we are, we're going into the 3rd fight. I'm also not spec'd. I don't have battle magic, which is horrible, especially going to fight 3. I don't have logistics. So I just tell you, I did not feel good. But the reason I continued is because, well, for 2 reasons. One is, I have thought a lot about the game, and I have tried to do, like, you know, numerical analysis. I care a lot about balance, and a lot of balance comes down to the numbers, right? It's, at the end of the day, it's a number crunch. And I think it's useful to understand those numbers and the way everything is working out. But there's another part of the game which is just like actually doing it, actually putting the reps in, getting the experience, feeling the timer, the pressure of the time, right? The actual experience of going through the motions. I mean, I play a decent amount of single player, just trying to think things out. What is the optimal play here? You know, what should I be doing in the best case? But once you actually get into this time pressure, and the action, you don't have like the perfect setup that you had in the single player setting. You need to feel that. So I want to just get the reps in. That's one of the reasons. The other reason is I told myself I just want to get more experience going to the end, and just sort of like seeing what happens. I'll say at this point, at this point in the game, I feel like this is a 90% chance I lose, maybe even more than that. So I'm continuing purely for just trying to see what happens, and learning and seeing what he does, seeing how big his army gets, seeing how big of an army I can get, these kind of things. So that's really the reason I'm doing it. I'm definitely not continuing because I feel like, oh, we're in a really good position. I don't feel like that at all. I feel like I'm just I'm using an hour of my time to just waiting to die, essentially. Another thing now is, typically I go to the desert. So one of the reasons I talked about gaining wisdom is because if we're going to do desert farming and deep desert farming, I want to have rewind life for my hydras. Because you can go to the desert with this amount of hydras, and you can farm a lot of stuff, most stuff, with some hydras and rewind life. So I end up going here and I realized this is a mistake. Unfortunately. I was thinking I'm gonna reduce their range damage or try and cut them off. I think I even casted optical illusion on myself. But I ended up losing one hydra there. That was unnecessary. Rewind life would have totally negated that, but such is life. So that's one of the reasons I want to get insight. There's just spells in every school that I want to have as we're going into for the fight, or whether we're going into the deep desert. You know, there's a wide range of spells in every school that we want to get, and so wisdom enables that. Even though the sub skills are not the best that ever exist, especially the advanced sub skills, they're pretty terrible. But at least the expert sub skill is additional mana, which is pretty good for the end game, and because we use a lot of mana on neutral magic, and it allows us to use big spells in the fights. Rely on, you know, summoning primal remnants, things like this. It uses a lot of mana, but it's very safe and saves your army. So one of the things that we can do on this guy is, if we have summons, if you didn't see, I summon and I blink in, and then we can just stay on the other side of the map. And then we use guillotine. I will also say at this point, Zakron's specialization, I guess I'm level 20, I have like plus 55% or something like that. Let's see, that would be, I think you get one every 2 levels, so you would have 50% or something like that from his specialization on spell damage. So our spells are getting pretty powerful. So I'm not sure damage is the way here after some retrospect. Okay, I don't like what I did there, and we'll see what I did later. I actually realized I learned along the way. First of all, I've never done this desert farming or gotten to this point without having rewind life. So I'm sort of winging it. This is another reason I feel bad. It's because I'm sort of like trying to keep these guys alive. I don't want to bring my entire army. I'll finally some gold. Imagine we got this laboratory and that 20,000 gold before the end of the fight, which I could have done if I had gone for that light tome, because I essentially just did that all in one day. It would have been a little bit harder at that point, not much though. So if I had got that daylight tome, that laboratory, and that Pandora's box, how different would fight 2 be? Enormous. So I should have sacked City 5 and stayed in the desert 1 extra day. I didn't have the money to leave. So that's what I should have done. It gave me my best chance. We ended up losing another Hydra on those chillins. We'll see as we go on though. I realized One thing I can do here in this horrible situation, I'm going to do it right here, is I can just leave the avatar closer to me, which isn't really very useful for this fight because these guys have long reach. But for melee, when we're against a melee, we could use this as a way to put ourselves in the corner and essentially reduce the amount of tiles that we can be attacked from on our hydras from 3 to 2. And if we have another summon, we can reduce it from 2 to 1. So one way that probably we could just come out here with hydras is if we have avatar and one other summon, we can probably prevent ourselves from losing much. It's gonna mean that like the creature stack is gonna have to be big enough that it can kill us in a single attack, that it can kill one in a single stack, and most things can't do that. This is kind of a tough one. I think I'm definitely gonna lose a hydra or two here. We only lost one, it says. So let's see if I actually use my strategy here. So what I should have done here is gone into the corner. I should have gone into the corner with the avatar. I guess it didn't matter. I guess that was fine. That worked out fine. I second guessed myself. Looking at this deck, I could have done this, but I remember being scared to do that. Mostly because those Abyssal guy, the tier 7s, I think Abyssal whatever. As you can tell, I play a lot of Schism. They're magic immune, so I just have a natural fear of magic immune creatures, especially dragons. It's kind of funny that we have dragons, but I'm also extremely scared of dragons. But I do think as I get more used to and accustomed to using summons, which I'm really starting to realize how strong they are. I'm not a person who typically plays summons type strategies in games, but I just think they're so freaking strong in this game that like you almost have to late game. Like it's spell damage is not really like where it's gonna be at. It's gonna be at your summons. So summons are the way to go late game. So I could have easily beat that with summons. I also should have bought, before I left, I should have bought Remnant. So that's what I should have done. I should be casting like Primal Remnant and Avatar here to put myself in the corner. I think that's probably perfectly acceptable. It's probably almost just as good as having Rewind Life. I mean, it's not quite as good because Rewind Life is much more, you can make mistakes and still recover from them, or go against things that are very hard that are definitely gonna hit you and take away a Hydra or two. That allows you to fight them. But for the most part, if I just had a Primal Remnant here, put myself in the corner with the Avatar, I probably am not gonna lose all that much, if anything. Especially on the fights that I've taken so far. I think probably I wouldn't have lost anything yet. I haven't seen anything that makes me feel like I couldn't have, or I could have avoided it, or I couldn't have avoided it. One thing I will say, another thing that I was thinking about is I do think, even though I think Dungeon is relatively weak right now, it's maybe like 4th or 5th best, I would say. And maybe even lower for magic heroes. Like, I think for might, they're gonna go, a lot of times they'll go Minotaurs and they'll get Riposte Mastery. And that just sort of makes a lot of these fights very easy, very one-dimensional. So, you know, obviously if things are one-dimensional, they're easy and it's extremely effective. So, probably magic for dungeon is, for the most part, probably not as good as might. I think, actually, that's probably, I feel like that's generally true. I think magic is generally harder to pull off. But, anyways, not the point I wanted to make, or not the thing I want to talk about. The thing I wanted to say is the new magical education in Dungeon Tier 5 that lets you get 2 skill levels, essentially, or plus 2 spell levels. I think that is extremely good. It's one of the... It's maybe worth playing a mage hero for dungeon purely for that, because in the end game, if you have thaumaturgy, if you have sorcery, if you have magical education, that means on the last fight, you're gonna have +4 spell levels across the board. That's another reason I'm liking wisdom, is because no matter what I learn with wisdom, it's gonna be level 5 immediately. Which, you know, obviously spell levels only go up to 4. But like I said before, pretty much every person is going to get resistance and do -1 spell levels. I don't think I've seen a person who gets resistance who doesn't get -1 spell levels. So, having that extra +1 spell levels that was added in the patch is actually super relevant, because now it's taking your spell levels from spell level 5 to spell level 4, so you still get max level, versus spell level 4 to spell level 3. That is a huge difference. So I think that that's one of the other reasons I at least felt okay about staying, because I knew that I had magical education. I knew that I was going to get that daylight tome. So all I was trying to think about was casting level 4 judgment on this guy. And also at least I do have luck. So one thing about luck with judgment in particular is judgment is 4 different casts. So on average, one of those is going to luck proc, which means overall, on average, judgment is going to be 125%. But also with the primal, oh, I actually lost one there. So this is the fight that I was thinking about, where if I was in the corner with 2 summons, I don't think I really lose anything here. And if I had 8 hydras especially, I would be knocking these guys down. So but anyways, so with the primal, you're gonna get you actually end up getting plus if you get the right sub skills. I forget which one, but you basically can get 300% on your spell luck when the luck procs. So when you do cast judgment, on average, when you cast it, you're going to get 150%. You can do the math if you want to, you know, check that. But basically, you're going to get 150% judgment cast, 150% damage on your judgment. So 50% more, I should say. So whatever it says in spellbook, you're gonna, or when you hover over someone, on average, you're gonna get 50% more than that. So, whereas on other spells where you only get a single cast, it's sort of like all in. You're either gonna get that 300% damage, or actually, I'm not sure off the top of my head if it's 250% or 300% spell damage or damage percent. It's one of the two. I'm pretty sure it's 300%. So, I'll let you, I guess I can look it up real quick. We're just going around trying to get what we can. We're down to 4 Hydras. I'm feeling a little bit sparse. It's starting to get to the level where I feel like I might enter a fight and just end up dying. So, we do get Tactical Guide, which in my book, it might be the absolute best artifact you can get for mages. I've said a lot, I don't feel like there's an equivalent to Red Orb. I feel like it really is oppressive to mages. To not be able to cast the first round feels very bad. I think if there's any equivalent to Might, about as close as it gets is Tactical Guide. It buys you a lot of time because it forces them on the other side of the map, so most units are not going to get in range, whereas if they have like tactics, or even if they just get to do normal movement, they can actually reach a lot of times with certain units. With Tactical Guide, for the most part, it basically buys you a turn. Generally speaking, obviously they'll still have ranged and all that sort of stuff, so it's not like an exact buys you one extra turn. But another thing Tactical Guide does is it forces them into clusters. So if we're doing like a damage build like Chain Lightning, Fireball, it actually makes those spells a lot more useful. They can't spread out. Chain Lightning is kind of, it can be, especially if they have initiative and they get to move their guys around. Chain Lightning is not the hardest spell to play around. But if you can cast it on a full cluster of guys, it can do a lot of damage. And it's also a spell that gets multiple targets, so you can luck multiple times along the way. Although obviously lucking on the first one is the best. So let me see. Oh, I see. So the Primal Magic Expert subskill Chaos Reigns. It gives you plus 50% more with Lucky Strikes, and it's doubled with Battle Magic. So I actually don't have Battle Magic this game. So it's either 200. Well, so if you get the one in luck, the Lightning Strikes twice, and you get the Chaos Reigns with Battle Magic, it's going to be 300% spell damage on crits. So I didn't have Battle Magic this game, so it's going to be 250% for me here. This fight's pretty straightforward, so I can just shuffle past this one. You Twilight and this fight's pretty much over. I left the deep desert because I felt like I didn't have enough guys. I was feeling a little bit scared. I think I'm waiting for the next week to be able to buy some more guys and replenish before I go back out again. I also am starting to really have a low time bank, and I was starting to feel that. I think maybe just my fights. I didn't have a good plan for how I was going to handle the fact that I had Hydras with no rewind life. But I think now that I know I can get a summon and I can get avatared, I can just sort of go in the corner. And I can do that with, you know, it gives me more options to just, if I don't have rewind life, I'm fucked. So I think that's perfectly okay. I would still prefer rewind life if we go long game. But I think that's at least an option. It gives us a next better option to be able to do this stuff. We're still gonna do like, if we do Dragon Utopias, like that's really where we want rewind life. Because there's not a very good way to just prevent the initial damage. But we're still gonna do the Dragon Utopia. I remember I did, I don't remember if I did 1 or 2 in this game, but I still do them even with what I have, so. With Radiant Armor and the kind, you can take a lot of damage from all kinds of stuff, so. I'm pretty sure I end up losing some Hydras here. I think this is the fight that makes me leave. I casted my avatar a little late there, so I'm completely surrounded. But I think the thing that kills me here is not these hits, so much as the ability they use. Do I lose something? Oh, I guess I don't. I guess this is not the fight where I lose guys. I fought these guys and I remember losing some guys, but it's not this one, it looks like. So I guess I was fine, and I would say that wasn't even the best play there. I should have cast my avatar next to me. But Radiant Armor and Thick Hide just makes you so buff. I'll say, like, as I'm watching myself, it's week 4, day 1. I'm really not sure why maybe I didn't have... Maybe I didn't have, like, a town portal at the end of the last turn. Because what I should have done at the end of last turn is town portal to my city. I think to pick up more Hydras, and then at the beginning of this turn I should have immediately left with my new Hydra stack and gone back into the desert. I'm also starting to invest in dragons. A little bit of foreshadowing, that doesn't work out for me too well. I mean, I'm still extremely poor. Right? I should have like 100k, 200k right now. I have nothing. So, and you know, I'm still earning like 8 or 9k. 9k a day or something like that, which you could be at like 20k right now. So I'm like at half income, and I didn't get much resources as it was, so. And now I'm investing in dragons, so. A little bit ambitious. I think what I should have done is just focus on getting as many hydras as I could. Not over. I'm trying to do too much at once. I'm not ready to do all this. Especially like, I know I'm behind already. I feel like instead of like going outside my comfort zone here, I should just be like sticking to my comfort zone and trying to do the best I can and see what happens. Right? If I had just stuck to hydras, I think that would have been better here. Especially looking at my gold, I have 20k gold right now and we're 3 days away. I need to get like 200k, 300k gold to be able to afford my army. And upgrade them. So 300k might be a little high, but probably like 200k. Especially if we're talking about dragons, it's probably like 300. Especially after I get the tree. So, but I don't think at this point dragons was the right play. I should have looked at my gold and been a little more thoughtful about that. I did finally get some time there to look at my items and, you know, actually do a little bit of planning. I hadn't run at, or every time I've been ending my turn, I've been going right into the next thing, so not much time to plan or think. But I finally got half of a second there. Oh, also I didn't see it. I must have missed it, but there was a point where I went to my second city. That's how I ended up in my first biome a couple days ago. I went to my second city to get more hydras and pick them up from there. And I bought them, and I didn't actually put them on my army, and I just left. So when I did that, I was pretty pissed at myself, obviously. I think this is the fight where I lose, guys. Where I lose hydras, but it's because of their spells. Very greedy for me to not cast, I mean, can I cast Radiant Armor? I should be casting Radiant Armor if I can. I definitely didn't cast it. Yeah, I don't know. Very greedy for me not to do that. Maybe I just didn't realize I hadn't cast it. I'm trying to rely purely on, oh, I did cast it. Okay. I'm not that greedy. Okay, thank God. I quickly reevaluated and said, okay, what the hell am I doing? Yeah, see that spell that they cast is very strong. Swift Penance. So I lose 2 hydras here. If I had a summon and my avatar in the corner, I would have been okay. I don't think I would lose anything. But maybe I would. I guess for those guys in particular, I don't know if those guys have the area damage or not. This is an easy one at this point. I can skip past this one. Oh, here's a dragon utopia. Definitely gonna lose something here. Oh, 2 hydras so far. That sucks, but we have to do it. We need gold. We need gold. I think thick hide is better than carapace here. After we get those spells, those buffs up, we're pretty unkillable, but we still have to take the initial barrage, and we're gonna lose guys there, which is where Rewind Life would really shine. Now I'm just going towards the tree, doing what I feel like I can do without dying. Here I want to get that dragon set item, the chest. I don't think I have a chest yet at this point, so. Or I think I had the +2 morale and luck one, so. I've realized I can't do Twilight on the guys here, the Light Weavers. I could have maybe done Optical Illusion there. Maybe that was what I should have done. I ended up losing another one. I think the Despair is fine, probably, but I think I needed to do Optical Illusion for the first Light Weavers. Despair is really good against these guys. And they're dead before they even get to me, so. I think I should have done Optical Illusion, though. I should have done, I think the Despair is fine, and then Optical Illusion, since I'm going to take the Light Weaver barrage. And then I also was going to take that one hit from the 10 stack, so I would have absorbed that. I still might have lost a guy in that, but I'm not sure. I think my best chance to not lose something was with an Optical Illusion there, because it is more damage blocked than Radiant Armor for the ranged case. And then I could have cast Radiant Armor, summon Avatar the next turn. I think that's probably a better play. Twilight here makes this fight pretty easy, I think. Although there is a lot of meat here. But after we kill that Shoth. Oh right, these guys have a cast ability. They almost kill one, but still not enough. Yeah, the rest of it is pretty easy, I think. Yeah, it didn't lose anything. But you can see, like, one thing about Hydras versus maybe other strategies out here is every fight is, like, hard fought. You know, you're gonna fight it out and make every move, whereas if you have something like Minnows with Riposte Mastery, you know, you just walk into the Dragon Utopia and click defend and the fight's over. So that's a little bit easier to calculate than what we're trying to do here. But I do think this is probably about as hard as it gets doing what we're doing. And if I had used my summons better, which again I didn't think about it. I had more time to think after the game, like what could I have done better. If I had just one more summon instead of my summon avatar alone, that would make a big difference. I probably would have lost, at this point, maybe 2 or 3 Hydras. Instead of, I think I probably have lost like 6, 7, 8. I haven't been keeping track, so. Which is a big difference. And also with the summons path, it does make it a lot easier to just sort of sit in the corner and farm that way. The time goes by faster. The more we can simplify the setup, the more time we're going to save. So that is a simple setup. We leave the desert at that point. We use the tree. We do have a lot of resource. We have a lot of gems. I'm gonna sell all my artifacts, get all the money we can. Right? Yeah. So I decided not to use the cloak and the axe. The reason I didn't, I actually look, because I'm thinking, should I take this set off or not? Oh, I actually did use it. I did switch. Okay. I think that's fine. I actually like the, actually, I think the, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure. I think it's close. I think though the other hand is the one that does negative 10% attack. Yeah, the Truth Maker. I think I probably like that. I think I probably like that more thinking about it now than I do the axe. Especially because I didn't have battle magic. If I had battle magic, I feel like the axe is definitely, with the plus 15% attack, that definitely should be, or sorry, I should call it a hatchet. I think the dark hatchet, yeah. I think with battle magic, that would probably be the better thing to use, for sure. But I think because I didn't have battle magic, I maybe should lean more towards using the Truth Maker. I think the only reason I didn't is because the set bonus with the two items, the Truth Maker and the other one, the offhand that I have, whatever it's called. Let me see if I can find it. The Truth Seeker. Truth Maker, Truth Seeker. That one's more of a, it's negative 10% defense to our enemies. And that's more like, I want to do damage, physical damage. Which, that's not, especially because we don't have battle magic again. I mean, we're going to keep that anyway, because we don't have another offhand. But the set bonus is, I think it was +1 cooldown to spells. I haven't really gotten to fights where that really is relevant. So, most fights I feel like, when they get to the end, they end in like 2-3 rounds. In which cooldowns don't really matter. So, the set bonus doesn't really do anything. So I think probably... And the 2 item bonus with what we have is -1 morale and luck. So I think it's close. I think with battle magic it's definitely hatchet and cloak. I think since I don't have battle magic, maybe the True Seeker and the... I guess I could still use the cloak even without the hatchet. That's probably better. Just use the cloak and the hatchet. Now we're just trying to rally troops. My stats are, I feel pretty good about my stats. At least for this MMR, these stats feel pretty decent to me. The only thing I really don't feel good about is how much army I have, how much money I have. That's really the biggest problem I'm feeling. Another Twilight Scroll. Second one this game. So now we're just trying to rally and get as much money as we can to get that army. We also built gymnasiums in all our cities now, so... And probably if I'm going for a tier 2 win, or a fight 2 win, probably I should have gymnasiums for fight 2 instead of fight 3. But we just had no money. But I would say if we had the money, gymnasiums, buy all the gymnasiums for fight 2. That allows us to get fully skilled up for the fight, so... I mean, it's a little bit more XP efficient to use our gymnasiums on the last fight, but using gymnasiums in fight 2 is more impactful, especially if we don't have all our skills. We can see I just have no money. I'm getting Town Portal to try to rally easily in one turn. But what's the point of being able to rally if you have no money to rally? I also saved 10 of each resource here, because I was thinking I'm going to unlock 2 spells. But you can't unlock 2 spells in one day, so I kind of fucked that one up. I should have been unlocking spells already. I should have been getting, I should have got Primal and, I think I don't have Star Children, so I think that's what I should be getting. Although I obviously saved for 2 tier 5, so I was probably thinking I want to get Primal Remnant and Nyra's Kiss. That's probably what I was thinking about. But I think it's probably more impactful for us, especially getting Avatar with the summons. Given the choice, we probably would rather have Star Children than Nyra's Kiss. But I don't know. It's hard to say because we do have a ton of spell damage. I don't know if luck can proc on Nyra's Kiss. That would certainly probably change the way I feel about it a little bit. If we could get, if Nyra's Kiss could proc luck, that would be interesting. I'll have to test that. I hadn't thought about it really until this point. So that would be good to know. But in any case, I do think Star Children is probably better than Nyra's Kiss. I'm not sure though. The nice thing is if we cast Twilight and he uses Inner Light, we're free to cast Nyra's Kiss and he can't get rid of it. So that is also a consideration. A little short on money, also running out of time here. Trying to buy the wrong spell. Yeah, see, I didn't have Nyra's Kiss and I was like, oh, I can't buy my second spell. Running out of time. Still haven't actually bought my, or joined my army, so what I should have done here, I think, is, so I tried joining my armies with the spacebar here, But the reason I can't is because I have upgraded trogs. So I didn't upgrade my Hydras. I didn't upgrade my Minotaurs. I didn't upgrade my Medusa. Lots of errors here. I just ran out of time. So I'm just feeling like, well, alright, just kill me and end it. I don't really, it's hard for me to look at this and know who's really winning. The 75, I mean, he has so much initiative here, and I see this mirror image and I feel like, okay, I'm dead. Okay, oh, okay, I'm dead. I just have to sit here and get pounded. The one thing is I do have stats that basically are comparable. So he kills 2 of my stacks immediately. Which obviously doesn't feel good. Feeling pretty defeated, but also now his army just seems so much bigger than mine at this point. Shoots my 4 Hydras. I didn't notice this at the time, but also all of my spells are costing 7 more mana, which is a lot of mana. I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it adds up. It ends up adding up quite a bit in the fight. So I didn't notice till the end, so I just wanted to point that out. Every cast is 7 for me. So one thing, as we're getting into this fight, is I've realized with mages, especially in fight 3, our first 2-3 casts are all about reducing incoming damage, and oftentimes that is not done by casting a big spell. Maybe if I cast Judgment here, which I didn't look to even think about, because I'm still not totally used to using Judgment, and Judgment is always on page 2 most of the time. So I just don't see it when I go to daylight and I don't think about it. Judgment might be better at reducing damage here than, say, Prismatic, since I'm not even getting hit. But I just... So actually, because I have Prismatic, it helps me with that Berserk at least. He casted Berserk. Does he use Inner Light? So if he has Mass Inner Light here and heals everyone and Twilight goes away, I think the fight's just over. He uses Carapace. So that's good news. Because what it does mean is he's going to have Twilight on him for... He can't get rid of it. Because if he could, he would have. Now, it still feels like... he has way too much. Because I have, what, 25 Hydras and 32 Medusa? The other 7 Dancers and 73 Infiltrators don't feel like much. But we've reduced incoming damage. We can also reduce it more with Weakening Calm, which is also a very, very good spell. But now we want to get our summons up and start taking it to him. And this is a stack of 156 remnants, which is a lot. Also, we're just not taking much damage here. So I don't know how long, if he could just keep attacking me, I don't know how long it would take for him to actually kill this army. Get a lucky immediately. Our summons are superior to his. We established summon dominance here. In retrospect, I keep moving up my infiltrators. I guess I was trying to move it away from this guy in the corner, but I probably should have just moved it up to my Medusa, but he's probably totally inconsequential anyway, so... So it's probably fine. Yeah, see, Judgment is on page 2 here, so I'm like looking at my spells and I just don't see it. He puts my Hydra to sleep. Which, okay, that means he's probably not going to attack it. So he's going for my Medusa. Which I don't know that I really mind Anthicide. He's going in for the melee. But he's only killing 2 Medusa at a time, and well, my Hydras are even more beefy, so... Although I still only have 25 Hydras. I mean, I could have... Probably theoretically, I could probably have like, I don't know, 50 more than this. Maybe not. Maybe that's a little excessive. 30 more? 40 more? I don't know. Certainly, whatever I had was not all I could have. And finally here, Judgment, 550, 400 damage. I'm just going to get to delete something. Toilets deleted. That was pretty satisfying. Got a double despair there. I don't know about that despair. I don't know if that was the best thing I could do there. Did I ever cast Weakening Calm? Yeah, I did Primal Remnant and then Weakening Calm, right? I feel like there was probably a better spell to cast. Unnatural Calm, sorry. I feel like there was probably a better spell to cast there. Than that Despair, I'm not sure though. But I think definitely that Judgment felt good. He res his guy, so that means he can start using range again with that stack. Oh, I remember. I probably should have cast my avatar last turn and started using it. Started its cooldown. Especially because the Despair is, like, I'm actually using so much mana and I didn't really realize it. I'm actually running out of mana, which basically has never really happened to me. Also, I never have used the Primal Remnant. I haven't used him enough to realize that the first ability, he can purge himself. So instead of moving there, I should have purged myself. But that was just a lack of experience there. Lack of knowledge. The Avatar absorbs quite a few hits there, which we welcome. Now we just need to make it 5 more rounds and get another Judgment. I also think, in retrospect, it might have been better to Judgment the Octoladies, Bewitchers, because they actually cost me mana on my casts. And again, I was not really paying much attention to my mana because I've like literally never run out of mana. No fight has gone long enough for me to run out of mana. So this is a fight where I do end up running out of mana. And so I should have been thinking more about that or looking at that more. Now I unsleep my Hydra and unweb my Primal Remnant. So now we're going to start fighting back melee wise against, try and save these doocies. Break the carapace with Heroic Strike. Oh, that's a big hit. We will say, like, luck feels good when that's happening in the last fight. He's decided, I don't want to fight anymore. We're starting to, we're starting to take control of the fight. These remnants are just doing work. And it took him forever to kill the Medusa. It actually took him longer than I expected it to take. They did a good job at tanking it. I've also looked at Medusa again. They're not the best ranged unit. Right? Their range damage is relatively low, and to really get a lot of value from them as ranged units is by getting area, by using his fighting style and getting like 2 or 3 hits. That's really like where Medusa shine, but just like single target, even though it is sharpshooter, it's really low damage. But what they do have is a ton of armor and life for ranged units, so they're actually really good, I think, with their melee upgrade. You can see in this situation, if I had the melee Medusa, it would have been, I mean, I don't know if she would have done much, but at the very least, she could have petrified something, so. Oh, I'm gonna go back a sec. Because this is a crit lightning bolt. A lightning bolted 82 Starchild hit. But now I'm running out of mana, so now I'm just looking for the most mana efficient things I can do. I use a 7 mana magic arrow. I don't know if that's even right. I should, at this point, I don't know if I should be using magic arrow. Especially because it costs 7 mana. Instead, I should just be casting 1 spell around, probably. And just using some big spell. Now he's just trying to spread out and take up as much space as he can. Kill my Hydras. So that even if I win, or even if my summons live, it's I don't really have anything alive, so it ends up being a draw. One thing I will ask if so let's say it's 1-1 and it is a draw in the end, so it's 1-1 with a draw at the end. Does anyone actually know the mechanic or what decides who actually won the game? Because I've gotten mixed results. Sometimes I've won and sometimes I've lost. And I don't know how that actually works. And I've tried to look it up. I've tried to ask on the Discord. Does anyone know? But in any case, we're gonna go ahead and haste these remnants and get them in the fight. They're obviously the strongest thing we have. It's 140 of them. He's killed 16 of them so far. And they're still doing work. Another thing that really would have obviously hurt us is if he had like heavenly blades or anti-magic. We just lose this fight, right? He just kills these remnants and the fight's over. So the fact that he didn't have a counter to Twilight and he didn't have a counter to Primal Remnant is the only reason we're even in this fight up to this point. If he had either of those two tools, the fight's over. So, which isn't ideal to be sort of so reliant on. I would say if Twilight didn't work, we could have switched to Optical Illusion and used that. So surely we could have used that. And that would have been what I did if he did dispel the Twilight. But if he gets rid of our summons with anti-magic, that might be why it's better. Let's see. Should you summon Starchild or Remnants first? If you have the choice, like which one should you summon first? Probably it makes more sense to summon Starchild first, so that if he dispels, we still have our Remnant, because I think Remnant is a better summon spell. So now I'm just trying to kite with my Hydras. I only have 6 left. I want to keep at least one of my units alive so that if our remnants kill these guys, we actually win the fight for sure. Because I don't know what's going to happen if all that's left at the end is my remnants. I don't know, and I don't know how it works. I still don't know what the mechanic is. So this is when I actually learned, oh, this actually does something. And I dispelled the web. I did not realize that was a thing. I knew that they could clone themselves for some reason, but I did not know they could cleanse themselves. So I should have used that a long time ago, but it definitely saved me here because I had no other way to get rid of this web. It also means casting long-term spells on Primal Remnants is not that good. So we do get our avatar though. I'm sort of not concerned about these Star Children. I want to kill these. I want to kill his units. So that at worst we can end up in a draw. And plus these 6 Star Children aren't doing anything. I mean, they do nothing. So don't want to put ourselves out of position. We want to just kill his guys. So at this point, given that he can't get rid of remnants, and I mean, if he could have, he would have done it by now. I feel like this fight is probably a draw. I'm chunking him pretty hard. And he decides to leave. I don't know really 100% why he left. Maybe he knows that if we ended a draw there, the game's over and he loses. I don't know why that would be, because it's 1-1. But maybe if I win first, that's the reason why. But The reason we won, I think, is just because he left the game. Because I don't know what happens if he plays that out and it's a draw. I don't know if that counts as a win or a loss for us. I mean, really, 100%, it should be a draw, and draws should be counted. Assuming, that's the way they're going to do that. If someone's live, it's a draw. So, draws should be counted, I think. But I've never had a draw. I've either won or lost in those situations. And I don't know what the difference is. So just looking, he's missing 3 item slots. He had the Warlord boots for the initiative. You can see he's got the -1 magic school. Another thing that I think helped us here is he has arcane magic. Arcane magic is probably the worst thing he has, and he does not have battle magic. So I think that is a mistake in skills there. I'm not sure why he would get arcane magic. Rewind life is probably the only reason I could think of to get it. I'm not sure what his rationale there is. So I think his items are not. He does have the range penalty bow, which is a great item for him. And the initiative boots, obviously the tomes are good. I guess his items are okay. They're probably medium, but he has 3 missing item slots. And then at the end, I just sort of get an idea of what could I have easily had if I was just a little bit faster. Was able to trade my money in, or had a little bit more money. Obviously, we could have made that army a little bit better. And also the dragons, which I invested in and didn't buy a single one. So, I think I bought 2 dragon dens and bought no dragons. So, that's a waste of 35,000 gold, essentially. So if I had just not bought the dragon layers, then I would have that instead. Relatively easily. So, and plus I still have some guys in the city there. I have 40 minnows. I have a decent amount of army just sitting in that city too, so. Oh, you made it this far. You are truly a degen, and I love you for that.